is the Voice of Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode is very impromptu. I did not think I was going to record an episode today because when the whole week, or since last week, since the last time I recorded, I have not really settled the format of the podcast episode. And I've been really lazy, to be really honest. I've not actively worked hard on the presentation of the podcast, and that's why I went back on doing video episodes because it looked sloppy to me. And I know the the motto, the motto I've presented on this podcast since the beginning was I will work on it one step at a time. But I noticed that I've been doing the same thing for months now. So I stepped back. I did not really step back. I just became lazy, and I'm just recording these episodes. So the last 3 episodes has been on a whim, like a day before the podcast comes out. It's not even recorded. I don't re-listen to the episodes. I make mistakes and I don't cut them off. Obviously, I'm not people. A lot of people are not behind the podcast. At the end of the day, the podcast is just a one-man show. It's just me and myself. I don't have a team behind me. Nobody relies on me for the survival of this podcast. Last week, I know I spoke about the podcast being a tribute. I pronounced that word wrong, but a tribute to me when I'm 80 years old. And that was the first thought I had when I released the podcast. And I know 2 weeks ago I said if I was me now, I would not have started a podcast. And that's the truth. And that's what I think of every single week when I'm thinking of podcast episodes, or when I'm thinking of how to talk on the podcast, because I'm I don't think I'm the smartest person on the planet. And today's episode is chill. It's not chill. Today's episode is the final boss for my presence on the internet, because I have not I've been scared of the internet since my very first video on the internet. I've been scared of people I know getting access to me on the internet, because I was the facade is gonna be broken. Oh my god, I've worked so hard on this facade. It's gonna be broken. I've been scared for for the last 7 years since. So I'll tell you my story about my internet. I know I've said the story countless times, but I've never said the main story, the full story. And this is gonna be my first and last time saying the full story. I might bring this up later on in the future if I remember. Who knows? When I was younger, I did not have Facebook. When Facebook was announced, my cousin had Facebook. Everybody had Facebook. I did not have Facebook because I did not really care. And then my cousin opened a Facebook account for me. And I did not know a lot of people, because growing up, I was around my cousins only. I was not around friends. I never went to people's houses to hang out. I hanged out. I was with my cousins. You see, I was whatever. I was with my cousins most of the time, and so my friends, in quoting, my friends were my cousins, but I also had friends at school. I was not a loner then. Now I'm a loner, but Facebook became this big thing. And because everybody was obsessed with Facebook, I was not obsessed with Facebook, because since I've been a young child, I've always gone against the grain. Then I my since my when my cousin made my Facebook account, I added people from my school. I didn't have a lot of friends on Facebook. Then I had added family members, blah blah blah. I barely posted on Facebook because I did not believe that was like something I was ever going to do, and because like I think I'm still going to add that I'm going to add dyslexia to this topic because like I think I'm going to record another episode for next week and talk about my dyslexia again in full, because I know I did an episode early this year speaking about dyslexia, but this I want to like speak about it in full now. So because of my dyslexia and because Facebook was like a very um text heavy platform. I know people posted photos, but people posted text as well. And because I knew I made a lot of mistakes when I typed, or and I did not know if it was correct, I chose not to participate in like the Facebook culture because I did not like disgrace myself in a public platform. And because a lot of people were ignorant about how Facebook worked, I thought I never like my like so when I was younger, we had like people who like lived in the house and helped raise us. They were not nannies or au pairs. In the past, I've like referred to them as au pairs because I think that's like the nicest way to like refer to those people. But I don't like the best way I can say it, like people who like helped raise us when we're growing up. That's the best way I can describe it for now. An episode will come out maybe in the next 2 years about how I was raised and what's going on. Okay, whatever. But the person who was like I was really close to, who like raised us and like fed us, had Facebook, and the person was telling me even like the private messages you send to your friends, like everyone could see it. And because I knew I made a lot of blunders whenever I like texted people, I was like, I'm never participating on the social media like stuff because every single person is gonna know that guy is really dumb. And so I hid like my self from like, not hid, but I chose not to publish my mistakes on the internet because I didn't want that to live forever. Obviously, it doesn't live forever, and people like back then, people were like, whatever you post now, it's gonna be on the internet forever, and whatever. Then, like my friends from school were like gaining a lot. Like I like consumed social media when I was younger, but I never like published or posts or produced any social media content. And then Instagram came along. Instagram and WhatsApp came along, I think at the same time. And I was a chronic WhatsApp story updater. Every single day updating my WhatsApp story. And I used to get like 20 views, and I thought 20 views was a lot because I only knew 20 people, and like most people I knew like viewed my like WhatsApp stories. But my cousin, like I thought I had the highest because I in my head I was always in competition with people because I had that in my head. 20 people was a lot of people, and I had never like interacted with that much people, like that amount of people in my life. 20 people, and like 20 people like view my story, and I was like telling my cousin, "Oh my god, you," I was like, "You really don't know. I have more followers than you on like on no on WhatsApp. Like 20 people viewed my story today." And then my cousin was like, okay, because my cousin was younger than me, and that she had like 7 or 6. And then 2 weeks later, I was like making fun of her. I was like, oh, see, I have like 30 something now because I was like giving every single person my number. So I gained a lot of like views on my WhatsApp story. And then she was like, "Oh, you only have 30. I have 100 and something." I felt really bad. Whatever. That story passed. At the same time, while that was happening with me and my cousin, at school, Instagram was becoming this big thing, and on Instagram, everybody in my class was trying to get to their first 1,000. And because when you get to 1,000, then if I can remember correctly, no, when you get to 1,000, it shows 1,000. So everybody was like trying to get to 1,000. So everyone was like working on the 1,000. I had started Instagram. I had like 200 people because of like my school. Like everyone in school, like we followed each other. So everyone outside school, like we had this trick on Instagram. My friend taught me this trick, and I loved my youth because I was a psychopath. So you follow celebrities and then go to their follow list and follow every single person in their follow list. Then unfollow them and then 10 new people will follow you. So I did that for like I think 6 months straight. And then I got like 2,000 followers. But those 2,000 followers are not real people, in my opinion. They were bots. Because when you post something on Instagram, like those people, like you have 2,000 followers, but you only get like 30 likes. And the ratio was so odd. So at this point in my childhood, we were on a race to who's going to be the first. So I had 2,500 followers, and we were on a race to who's going to be the first to get to 10,000 followers. My nemesis stroke frenemy then, Ashley, had almost 7,000 followers. And this character, Ashley, I'm using his real name, whatever. This character, Ashley, was someone who everybody knew was gonna get to that number before me. But I was like, no, I'm gonna get to that number. I'm good. Then everyone's like, you don't post anything on the internet. I was like, I'll still get to that number. I don't need to post. I'll get to that number. Then, then, oh my god. Then I took my cousins to my cousins. I'm just gonna say my cousin's name. I took my cousin. I'm not gonna say my cousins. I'm not gonna blast anybody out on the internet. But I took my my two cousins that were old enough to like follow, like help me, like follow, like. So I can't remember the story clearly, and I'm embellishing it a little bit to make it interesting. But I logged into my account in three different like devices, and I got my cousins to like follow like different celebrities and unfollow so that my account like gets to like 5,000 quickly. And my account got to 5,000 quickly, and then someone stole my account. Someone hacked my account, so I had to start. When I got hacked, I quit, and then the next like month, my friend or my frenemy or my nemesis got to 10,000 like followers on Instagram, and the person got a K on their name, and I was so jealous. I've never been so jealous in my entire life because our whole like school career, we were we were pit against each other because we had like similar interests in things, and I was not really cool, but I was like that like person was like a proximity to coolness because that person was like the arbiter of coolness. Like if you were friends with that person, you were seen as cool because that was a cool group to like be a part of. So yeah, that was my like history with Instagram, and then I got Instagram again, and then I got to hunt. I did the same trick to get to 1,000 followers quickly, 1,500, and then when I moved, I deleted my Instagram because I did not like Instagram anymore. Then because I do not like social media in general anymore, and I deleted Instagram. This miraculous app came along called TikTok, and then I downloaded TikTok. I deleted TikTok as well. And then I had Instagram because of my church, my old church I used to go to that I left. I did an episode on that. I did an episode on leaving that church. I can't remember the name of the episode because I named my podcast episodes very ridiculous names that I cherish. And now I did not delete my account yet, but I deleted Instagram from my phone because I feel Instagram is a very uncomfortable place to exist in. I feel the internet in general is a very uncomfortable place to exist in. I never had Twitter as well because Twitter was like text based mostly, and I could barely read as a kid. Like I was so dyslexic to the point that I could barely read, and I was like, I can't tell anybody. I can't tell anybody. But yeah, Instagram was a very cool app to have at that time. TikTok was a cool app to have from like 2020 to 2022 ending. And then from 2023, TikTok changed. And I still have TikTok now, but like day by day, I feel like immense hatred for TikTok because of the way my algorithm is. Because I have a lot of political like topics on my TikTok. And before, TikTok used to be so fun, but politics is life. Yeah. I think this episode. Next week's episode is going to be on my dyslexia, and I'll speak to you next week on a very exciting episode on dyslexia. If you have dyslexia, you should listen to the episode, and if you don't listen. I'll speak to you next week. Bye. I'm gonna record that episode right now. So there's an episode. I'm gonna record like 3 episodes back to back right now. So there's an episode for the next 3 weeks while I'm getting ready for the video podcast that's starting soon. I don't know when the video podcast is starting again, but when it starts this time, it's not gonna stop. Hopefully. Okay. And the book I read this week was the Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. It was a really good book. Wait, let me tell you what happened in that book. Let me tell you my key takeaway from the book. And I wrote something on my notes. I'm not going to read it out, obviously, because I am working on a huge essay for the Wisdom Mind platform, for the Wisdom Mind website. And like I'll start releasing essays on the Wisdom Mind website. Yeah. With helps. Okay, whatever. The book starts with this protagonist or this character, and he's like described as the strongest man in that village, and his dad was, in his eyes, the character's eyes, his dad was a coward because his dad did not live up to the potential he thought his dad could get. Everything that this character had was everything that he like got in his life. He fought for it. He like got it himself. He worked for it. But he noticed that other people, or like usually other people, work hard, but they work hard in tandem to their dad. So their dad has enough to give them, and then they work with what their dad has taught them. But with this character, his dad was not a hardworking person in his opinion. And in his opinion, his dad was a coward, a loser, a failure. That's how his dad's like described in this book. And then in this book, he had like a very strange relationship, and this was what this episode was meant to be. But I'll do this episode like in 4 weeks because I'm recording 4 podcasts today. But in this book, this character was very anti, like not anti, like it was the culture to be very masculine in this book, and this character was like very masculine, and he had 5 heads in his like human heads in his living room, in his like house, to show like, oh, I've killed people, so like don't try me because I'm like strong enough. And he like fought in battles and won. Then when this character started having kids, he had a son that portrayed or like acted like, or had what's like his son was exhibiting or like showing like features of his dad. Like he was sluggish, lazy, and he thought his son would be a failure. And a lot happened in the book. He adopted not adopted, but like a new person stayed with him from a different clan. Then he noticed that his son his biological son was being influenced by this new guy in a good way. So he really enjoyed this like new guy, and he took this new guy as his son. But because of what the guy was in his house for, they had to kill the person. And someone came and told him, "Oh, you should not like kill this guy that has lived in your house for so long." But he killed the guy. Then a very like powerful man died in their village, and he went for the funeral. And in a funeral, you are not meant to like kill someone in a powerful person's funeral, but he killed someone by mistake. And then they like sent him away. They said he can't stay in that village anymore because for like 7 years. So he left, and the white man came, and the white men started changing things. And this is where I noticed that this man, like his masculinity, like destroyed like the whole like the book was like well written, but like at the end he killed himself. And I think he was worse, like he's more effeminate for killing himself than his dad, who did not have a successful life but stayed till his very end and not kill himself. But this character at the end of the day killed himself, and his son joined like the white man and the Christians. But it's a very good book. It's called Things Fall Apart. I would recommend you read it. And I did not say it, like the story was not really good, but I recommend you read it. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.